Put down your baby and pick up a beer. Dad Jokes is back with a brand new episode. I'm Jerry, joined here with Brandon. You're listening to the podcast of two first-time dads going through the journey of fatherhood with all of you listening to us as we do it. And Brandon, how are you doing? It's been a crazy day in my household. I'm not going to lie to you. It's been kind of hectic night too, but what's going on with you, boss?
Jerry, I'm getting over a sickness. I feel like I'm on the mend, so I'm feeling good. Today is a great day, and no, it's not because it's my anniversary. NBA preseason is kicked off, so I'm going to be watching that. I can't wait for Kelsey to listen to this in the morning.
Happy anniversary,
Happy
Kelsey.
anniversary. No, in all seriousness, taking a break here. We did some celebrating yesterday, and she surprised me with some Indian food, which is my favorite today.
So she did good because we were at work and you said you didn't know anything about the meal plans.
I had no idea.
I've been anxious to hear. So it was Indian food and it was good.
My favorite, top two.
Okay.
And probably number one, if there's a type of food is Indian food. I absolutely love Indian food.
Really? More than chicken fingers from a Mexican restaurant.
More than chicken fingers from a Mexican. Okay. And I got a text that was like, do you want a choice or both? I had no context of what this was. I didn't know she was talking about food. I thought she was like asking me if she should get something differently. So I was like, both, whatever. It's our anniversary. And it was for me, and it was basically both dishes that I love. She basically got both of them. And I had I had a nice amount of both, and there's still probably enough food for the next
leftovers.
Week. So, yeah. So I'll be eating Indian for lunch tomorrow, and it was really good. But so I'm feeling great. This week I kind of alluded to it. I'm getting over being sick. I kind of caught what Bryce and Kelsey had. Bryce still has one more day of medicine, the pink stuff that everybody loves, and
bubble gum.
We saw a turn for him this weekend. So, Saturday, Kelsey looked at me and she was like, I feel like we finally got our baby back. So I left work that day. We went to the apple orchard. So Bryce got to experience a lot of people watching, which was, it kind of hits on the topic that we talked about. I don't know if we necessarily call it free. You don't pay to get in. You can pay for stuff, but kind of free stuff that you can do with your kid and let him have some fun.
Bryce is definitely going to dip his donuts in cider, by the way. I'm calling it now. He's going to do it.
It was kind of crazy. You texted me that. I'm pretty sure we were on our way to the cider mill when you sent me a text of your wife. I have a few things that just, if you guys haven't heard me talk about it before, it's irrational annoyances. And one of them, I can't see people dip Oreos in milk. I don't like to see people bite cold things like ice cream or
I don't like that
ice.
Either.
It kind of just makes my teeth hurt. And I cannot stand for people, specifically Jerry, the Alusky family. I cannot stand for them to dip their donuts at the orchard in cider, and then just drink the cider and all. You got all the stuff in there, that's just, it's so gross to me. I can't even. And people are listening, and I know I'm in the minority here, but it legitimately makes me sick to my stomach to even think about.
The best part about it was Macy literally looks at me and goes, "Take a video and send it to Brandon." It was not my idea. It was 100% hers.
Oh,
so
Macy,
you got to get at her because she literally goes, "Take a
Okay.
video of me doing this," and I'm like, "Okay," because it was kind of a long trip. I'm kind of over everything at this moment, and she still had the wherewithal to tell me to take that video. So you get to blame
Macy,
her.
I thought you and I were better than that, but okay, there's gonna have to be retribution. But I mean, other than that, it was definitely a long week at work. I had a few people who were out, so I worked some longer hours this past week. So between that and Bryce not sleeping, I'm gonna be catching up on sleep for the next little bit, but. It all comes in waves. You know how it is. What you guys been up to?
Well, before I get into that, Brandon, I'm actually going to start off today. I haven't started off in a while. I'm going to start off with a dad joke. I forgot
about dad jokes.
Yeah, I have two. So,
cheating already.
No, but listen. I had a dad joke picked out from a few days ago. I'm driving home late, so it's late. I close the building on Mondays. I'm driving home, and I got a text from my sister. She goes, it's a voice text, which I never get. It's my nephew Nolan coming in with the joke.
Let's go, Nolan.
So I got 2 jokes, one from Nolan, one
Okay.
from me. Okay? So we're going to
I'm
start.
definitely going to beat your joke. I don't
Yeah,
know
for
about
sure.
Nolan's.
Let's start with Nolan's, okay?
All right.
He says, what does a floating head say to his therapist?
What does a floating head say to his therapist? I'm laughing already. I don't know.
I feel like a nobody.
Hey, we need to have Nolan as like a guest. I want the voice memo. We need to like I can plug it in.
Oh yeah.
When we edit, we need Nolan as like a guest jokester on here just for
We
like
do.
a quick 5 seconds.
We
All right,
do.
what's
We
your
do. It was
joke?
good. So this is my joke. Brandon, how much does a rainbow weigh?
How much does a rainbow weigh? A pack of Skittles.
Not much. It's pretty light.
I'm not.
That one made me laugh way harder than it
I'm not
should
mad at that
because it's funny. It's funny. It's pretty light. So that one was mine.
I'm not mad at
I
that.
liked it, and Nolan's was good too on the way home. So I had 2 dad jokes today. But other than that, you mentioned one thing. We did go to our cider mill for the first time with Peyton, which was kind of exciting. We love cider mills here in Michigan. It was busy, and it was an okay time, and I'm going to get into why. Kind of my week's been wrapped around one common theme, and that is that apparently Peyton is at the age, which is 10 months, for anyone listening who doesn't know, she's 10 months old, where she's just decided that she doesn't like to nap this week, which through my research is actually pretty common around this age. It's pretty normal that kids don't want to nap, and there's some different theories behind it, but one of the theories is basically that the kid at this age has figured out that they can throw a protest, and if they'd rather be with mom or dad or playing, I can cry or I can act up and I won't have to go to sleep. So she has been not only not going to sleep, but standing up, screaming, not even attempting to try to sleep. So this started a couple days ago with my stepmom who was watching her, and I kind of just thought, my stepmom doesn't watch her that often. I'm like, okay, maybe she's just not used to it, whatever. And then the next day, which was Saturday, the day we were going to the cider mill, she would not go down for anything. We tried over an hour, and I'm like, what is going on? So at the cider mill, naturally, she was cranky because she was super tired, and she did not go down for Macy at all for a nap today as well. Just so those of you who are listening, kind of an educational thing. This usually when it happens, one, there's not much you can do about it. You just kind of got to wait it out and keep doing your own thing. But it's most common that the baby, if they're still taking 2 naps, will want to skip their second nap, which has definitely been the case. She's given us troubles a couple times with her first nap, but mostly it's the second nap she just doesn't want to have. This is not a sign that they should go down to 1 nap. That's everything I've read says that doesn't mean they should go down to 1 nap. It's just more of a phase. And actually, at 10 months at least, they should still be taking 2 naps a day for at least a little while longer. So don't panic. Also, they say don't change their bedtime dramatically just because you're like, oh, they didn't nap, we're going to move their bedtime an hour earlier. Don't do anything like that. Keep your normal routine, and eventually they get over it. I'm hoping that's true because it's been long. The one good thing is that she's been struggling sleeping, Brandon. We've talked about in the last few episodes. And then, we sleep trained her months and months ago, had great success with it. Finally, Macy looked at me and she goes, maybe we need to refurber her. So we did kind of a re-sleep training one night, and then since then she's been pretty great at night. Last night she didn't wake up at all. So even though she didn't nap well, she didn't wake up once during the night. I think the night before she woke up once. So since then, she's been good at night, just not good during the day with naps. Other than that, though, she's been a pretty happy baby, crawling everywhere. Brandon, yesterday she was standing up because she's crawling across everything now. She was standing up, and she went to scratch her nose and was standing with no hands on it. I don't think she realized it. I'm looking at her. I'm like, I don't want to say anything because I don't want to spook her. She looks at me, and then all of a sudden she just drops to her butt. I was like, oh, you were doing it. It was probably like 3-4 seconds, but she's so close. She can stand without help. I know she can because she's basically barely touching something. It's more the mental thing at this point, but she's getting close, I think, to walking. The weird thing is, and I don't know if Bryce experiences this, if I try to like help her walk right now or like get her to walk, she hates it. She loves to walk along things. She loves to walk on things, or even using like the little pusher herself. But if you try to help her, she does not want anything to do with that. Is Bryce like that
I
at
don't
all?
know. I don't know if Bryce hates it. He will basically just think you want to play jump with him, and he's having fun and he's just trying to jump like all over the place. So that it's more of that than anything else. When he isn't jumping, it is hard to get him just to stand and assisted in the same spot. He just, I mean, he's at the age, and it's been like this for months. He always wants to be moving.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't really want to be held unless he's tired or sick. And he just wants to be moving. So that's the main thing there. One thing you did remind me of, he is getting to the point, you kind of mentioned Peyton realizing that if she cries, certain things will happen for her.
Mm-hmm.
Bryce has been there, and I've noticed it more in the past few weeks than any other time. And he's to the point where he's kind of starting to throw fits if he doesn't get his way. Or if you tell him no, and this is going to be a learning experience for me, because he doesn't understand yet. Like, he doesn't really get the I'm not supposed to be doing this, but I'm just like, in my head I'm like, he knows what he's doing. He's just not listening. And so I kind of gotta, like, I guess
Check
come
yourself.
to terms with that a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah, I've been there.
Honestly, it can be annoying. Like,
Oh, it was super annoying.
Like, you just and what's crazy is I don't know when it went from super cute to like kind of cute to like, no, it's time for you to chill out because you've been trying to do the same thing over and over again. And then he I know he knows he's not supposed. This is the thing that gets me. Like, it's like he'll start to do it. He'll turn around and see if somebody's looking. And then if you don't say anything, because sometimes you just want to see if he'll still do it.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't say anything, and I stole this from Jonathan, our previous guest. We went to when he goes to do something.
Mm-hmm.
One, it makes him cry immediately, but he stops. But he literally will look around. Like, he'll look around before he does the thing he's not supposed to do, and then do it.
And they get like a
then you gotta
smirk
tell
on
him
their
no.
face too.
Dude,
They get
it
this
is
look
amazing.
on their face. Peyton
It's
does
like
it all the time.
It's like they
Or
know
they'll do
that
she'll do a
this
chuckle.
is like their, yeah. It's like this is their gray area. Like,
Oh yeah.
it's like, I know you can't really get mad at me about this right now, but I'm gonna go ahead and just do this and see if you say anything. And we're at that stage, and he's pushing every limit. But he is really, really close, I believe, to walking. He can stand on his own legitimately for 15, 20 seconds.
That's good.
But he just has no inkling to like try to walk, and we try to get him to do it. He's talking, like, having, it's funny, I'll like catch him talking to himself, and it'll be full, long, drawn out like babbles, but it sounds I don't know how to explain it. The people listening who have kids gotta know what I'm talking about, but it sounds like he's actually having a conversation with himself. It's just not illegible, but I don't know what the word I'm looking for.
It's funny when they do it with like action figures or like, you know what I mean? Like,
Dude,
I don't know if Peyton will do that. She'll have things in her hands and she'll start like babbling, and it's like, oh, she's trying to make them talk to each other. Like, I don't know what she's doing, but it's funny. It is funny. It's cute, and it's like
full-fledged conversation,
and it's just like nonstop like incoherent, but it's funny,
Yeah,
and they crack
incoherent,
themselves
that's the
up
word
doing it too, like while they're doing it. But you mentioned that Bryce has started throwing fits. Peyton started to do that with food. If we're eating and she wants something, she kind of like will almost cry or like and then you give her some, and she's doing it before she even finishes what's in her mouth. I'm like, simmer down. You got to finish what you're eating, and I'll give you some more. That's kind of the worst part we're at right now. Or the other thing is if she wants to be held, especially by mom, she'll do it too. So those are kind of the two big things with fits. But I definitely hear you there.
Yeah, between Bryce and the dog, I don't know who's like hanging around to try to get some scraps off the table more. And Riley is just reverted to, he knows if Bryce is around and food's around, he's gonna like magically get food, no matter if we're giving it to him or not. Because Bryce would just decide he doesn't want something and drop it.
Nice. The other thing, Brandon, that happened this week, and this is kind of my piece of baby gear that I'll go into, is that we took out the base for the infant car seat in Macy's Traverse, and we put in her big girl car seat, which is the Nuna Arava. I don't know I think we've had this debate before.
Fancy.
Yeah, but we put that one in. Not that she's too big for the infant car seat. It's just we wanted to put her in that because it's a little bit of a pain hauling it in and out, and then that way our parents can use that one a little bit easier because we're not taking things in and out. They can keep a base in their car, and so we put her in that a couple times. It's worked out really well. It was pretty easy to install. I might actually put a video up. But one thing that was interesting, and I learned this, so you can either use the regular seatbelt or you can use the latch system for this car seat. And I always thought like the latch was best and easier. But actually, according to Nuna and some research, they tell you to use the actual seatbelt, that it is better and that it's for better or up to higher weights. You don't have to worry about switching it at any point in time. So that is what they recommend. They say belt is best. And the other thing that I learned is that you should never ever use both at the same time. I guess that is bad and can mess up like the restraint systems and stuff like that. So those are two things I learned this week according to the research on the internet and according to what Nuna says. So
I had no idea about that.
Yeah, I didn't either.
That's interesting. I don't see how both could hurt.
I thought the same thing. I'm like, I'm going to do both.
Anywhere.
I thought the same thing. I'm like, I'm going to do both. And then literally like the first 4 things I looked up were like never use both. And I was like, okay, well, clearly I don't know what I'm talking about. I also thought the latch would be better than the belt, personally, but I guess it's not. Yeah. So, but now if you use the latch system, it's not bad by any means. The biggest reason I say the belt is better, just so you know not to freak anyone out, is because the latch has like a weight limit. So then if you use the belt, there is no weight limit, so you don't have to ever worry about getting close to that point. So there's like no like having to think about it and switching. I think it's like 35 pounds. So Peyton's nowhere near that anyways, but you might as well get good at using the belt if one day we're going to eventually have to do it because it's a convertible car seat that she'll have for years. But other than that, it was pretty easy to install, and so far has worked out nicely because it's a little bit bigger, and I think she's a little less cramped in it. So that was a big change for us. Any baby gear for you to go over, Brandon?
Yeah, I should definitely install Bryce's convertible car seat. I got 3 huge boxes, one for me, one for Kelsey, one for my parents that have been sitting in my garage for probably 3 months.
20 minutes.
That's on the agenda. I keep saying I need to do it, and then I'll have conversations like this at 9:00 at night, and it's like I'm not doing it right now. And I'll think about it again.
The weather was nice. That's what made me do it. It's been kind of cold. I'm like, I'm doing this before it's freezing outside. That's what made me decide to do it.
I think about it when I go to my parents' house to drop them off in the morning, and then life just happens. But I'll hey Siri a reminder, and we'll be good. And Siri's popping up on my phone as we speak. I should have known. But my topical piece of baby gear are boogie wipes. They're wipes specific to if your kid has a cold, like really, really light saline wipes. You can definitely just use regular wet wipes. But I thought these things were cool. They were specifically for the nose and the boogies. So Bryce has had his. He is still. It's kind of funny. This may go under things. It's not things my wife said, but things I said. But Bryce is today. He's very sporadic with like him giving kisses, but he's figured out that like if you ask him for a kiss, he'll lean in and give you a kiss. It was the cutest thing ever. But he got me today right before I walked down here, while he had a booger on underneath his nose, and I didn't quite see it, and Kelsey did, and I got a chunky kiss. there was a little extra gift there for me.
There you go.
Boogie wipes are my baby gear, piece of baby gear for the week.
Brandon, that's funny you said that. You just reminded me of something. Peyton started something new this week that Macy thinks is hilarious and cute, and I am somewhere between agreeing and being horrified. She's figured out if she like opens her mouth really wide and kind of like screams and leans towards the dog will lick her face.
This is so specific.
And like the dog will lick like inside her mouth, and she thinks it's hilarious, and she'll start cracking up only to stop to do it again. And she'll do it for like as long as you'll let her. And I'm like, stop!
so
That's
specific.
disgusting. And then like,
What are
Macy's,
these steps again?
so she like opens her mouth, literally like as big as she can, and then like kind of like goes and like leans into the dog, and the dog like will kiss her face. Because Raja loves licking her face, but like then it's like in her mouth, and she thinks it's hilarious. Literally, Payne thinks it's the funniest thing she's ever experienced in her life. She'll do it for like 5 minutes and just cracking up, and then Macy's laughing too, so it's making her laugh more. And I'm like, "Will you?" She did it once, and I thought it was just like a weird thing. She's done it like 3 times now. I'm like, "No, this is not becoming a thing. This is no. This can't be
That's
sanitary."
pretty hilarious.
But it is funny to watch. I'll have to take a video. It's Macy legit was like on the floor laughing because it's hilarious. It is funny. She like at first you're like, what is she doing? I thought it was like a coincidence. Nope, she's doing it intentionally, and just thinks it's hilarious. So that's her kisses.
I mean, it is hilarious. Hearing you describe
funny.
it is hilarious. The fact she realizes that those are the steps she has to take to get
does.
it done.
She does. It is crazy.
Hey, she knows what she wants.
So Brandon, today what we're going to talk about, we kind of mentioned going to cider mills, and this is actually kind of what got us thinking about this topic is, being a parent's expensive. Between clothes and presents and doing things, it's expensive. And so...
And Amazon.
Yeah, and Amazon and Little Sleepies. It's expensive. So what can you do with your kids that doesn't cost any money? And we're going to kind of go over it. And it's not specifically for small children or what. It's just different things that you can do. And I also have a couple different... sources that I found that can help you find ideas near you. So that was kind of fun. And I got to give a big shout out to Macy because she did a lot of my research for me on this. She kind of actually came up with the topic itself and then gave me a bunch of information that she found. But so things that you can do with your kids that are free. And, we mentioned cider mills, which are big in Michigan. And, other ones in Michigan, I'll kind of start with kind of the Michigan theme, especially kind of because it's going into fall and winter. But cider mills are a big one. Pumpkin patches in October are big. And then once Christmas lights start going up, you can drive around and see Christmas lights. I used to do that as a kid. It's actually kind of a lot of fun, especially if there's neighborhoods that really get into it. And then another big one in the winter in northern states is sledding. Sledding is a blast as a kid, and you can have fun for hours and hours, obviously depending on how big they are. But those are some good Michigan ones that I thought of for this time of year specifically, Brandon.
I forgot about Christmas lights and driving around as a kid. That was legitimately one of my favorite things. And that's not just Michigan specific. I'm like,
it's not. You're right.
My dad's half of the family is in Louisiana. And I'm gonna butcher this name, but there's a spot. He's from like the Shreveport area. There's a spot further south from him. I think it's called Nacogdoches, if I'm pronouncing that correct. And they have it actually reminds me of Frankenmuth a little bit in some spots, like an old German town, even though it's not German. So I guess that whole part of the story was pointless. But they had a huge like tunnel. The only thing I remember about it was the only Christmas we spent down south, and they just had like a huge tunnel of Christmas lights. The whole city was like had gotten into it. They're apparently known for this, but I mean that was absolutely one of my favorite things to do as a kid. You knew which neighborhoods to go to that always had the best lights. People would upgrade their setup like year in, year out. So I mean that was super cool. On our end, and this is something that Bryce is already doing, but if you check with like your local library, a lot of times they'll have different events, sometimes weekly or even monthly, for kids of different age groups. So Bryce goes to it's called Story Time at a local center, and basically like once a month they get a free book to go home with. They have authors coming in and like reading the books to the kids. Bryce has my mom started taking him to that. It's on Fridays. I mean he's gotten probably 5 or 6 books from this event, and they're all like really cute. Some of them are like local Michigan specific books, but if you look around your area, libraries a lot of times will have events specific to kids of all ages, for story times and other things like that as well.
That's a good point. So to stay on kind of the Michigan specific thing now, but I'm sure that lots of states have this, but Macy found something today that I'd never heard of that we're definitely going to be taking advantage of it, and it's called Michigan Activity Pass. And if you go online and look it up, basically you can put in where you're from or your zip code, and it will bring up a ton of different activities that you can do in Michigan. And what's really cool about it is a lot of them will pop up free passes. And you can click and get a free pass to all these little things that sometimes cost money. And some of them require like a library card, like you were talking about, but some of them are just free. But I mean, there's museums, there's institutes of arts, there's planetariums, there's festivals, there's tons of different activities, and it's all right on there, and it gets you free passes to a lot of them, or at least a discount. Some of them have discount codes instead of free, but that was a really cool find. Michigan Activity Pass is what it's called, so that's something we're going to take advantage of. But like I said, I'm sure lots of states have something similar, but some of them require a library card. So like you mentioned, I think they kind of work in conjunction with the library to get people some discounts. But I don't know if you've heard of that one, Brandon, but it's definitely worth a look.
I haven't, and the trouble for me is my mom's been the one taking Bryce to the library. I still have overdue library books from when I was like 7. So
You're not allowed in. They kick you out.
The library in our hometown, I went to go get a library card as an adult. And they told me I had late fees.
I remember this.
And I refused to pay them. I'm like, how are you holding me accountable for something that happened when I was like 8? I haven't been in the library in so long, so I'm probably gonna have to chalk over the late fees.
That's awesome.
Actually, I think it was for a DVD. I think I'm pretty sure I actually was like 12 or 13. I think I rented The Wire.
The Wire at 12 and 13.
Yeah, I'm serious, and I shouldn't have. So I never told my mom, and I never got it back.
Gosh.
And so it's probably like a $70 charge for that
nice
season of The Wire. So yeah, I don't know how we got there, but another thing that's good. So one thing I like as we were kind of compiling our list, for Bryce's age and a little bit older than Bryce. I wanted to think about things that you might be teaching your kids in the moment. So a lot of kids are learning from a food perspective about fruits, vegetables, things like that. So a place as simple as like the farmer's market, you can take your kid to. They can see a lot of the things kind of in their natural state that they've been learning about, be it different fruits, different vegetables. From a parent perspective, obviously, if you want to purchase one, it's normally pretty low cost. But, I mean, I could literally take Bryce up the street. If there's people there, he's going to be entertained. So something like a farmer's market, pointing out all the different things that he's learning about, that's something that will work, and it won't cost you anything as well.
Yeah, another site that's not just Michigan specific, that's for anyone that we found is UpParent, so UpParent, upparent.com, and right on there you can go to Near Me, the tab, and then there's free things to do, and it literally will list things to do. Along with that, it also has like camps and classes and events and different articles and stuff, but the free things to do section is great. So if you're looking for things and out of ideas, another great source. A couple that come to mind that we've kind of looked up that are kind of fun to do are obviously when they get a little bit older, bike rides are great, or even just walking trails. I did a lot of that with my dad growing up, kind of hikes or little trails to walk down. Children's museums, if you got them in the area, fantastic places to go. Lots of things you can do there. Local museums, especially if they're like science museums and stuff like that, really fun. Some of them cost money, some of them don't though. So those are kind of fun things and places to actually go. Festivals, a lot of times there's fairs or festivals that are free that you can go to, or local car shows is another one that, like, I know that we have a friend whose boys absolutely love cars. Great place for them to take them. Car shows, they're in love just looking at the classic cars and different cars. So and again, those don't cost any money.
Yeah, I had local car shows down as well. One thing along those lines is finding a spot potentially like right outside. It depends on where you live. If you live close to an airport, but you can park at a business nearby and literally watch the planes, or right at the airport, watch the planes land and take off. That's something from a younger child perspective. Planes, trains, and automobiles seem to be things that they really gravitate towards. Jerry mentioned the car shows. I mean, you could go to an Amtrak or train station so they can see the train. I mean, even locally to us, there's a place called Crossroads Village that actually has its own train that is kind of geared towards children. And I know at least once a year, maybe a couple times a year, they actually have like a Thomas the Train Engine, like full train engine that comes out that the kids can see, things like that. So really, it's from our perspective, like while parents may pay for some of this stuff, kids Bryson Payton's age and even a little bit older, a lot of times get in free most of these places. It's just kind of doing a little research and seeing what's around you, and Jerry's giving us some cool tools to find it.
Yeah, there's a couple other ones that I thought are kind of fun that are a little more in depth as a parent, but you can kind of make them an event, and that is you can do kind of a cinema night at home where you basically have a movie you already have or something on Amazon or Netflix or something, but you get popcorn and you get like little candy you have around the house, and you make fake tickets on paper, and you get the kids all excited like they're going to the movie theater, but you're just at home watching a movie. Yes, you might have to spend a little bit on snacks or something, but it's probably stuff you already have at home anyway. So that was a cool idea. Another one, do a Lego building competition with your kids. And kind of do like a little like challenge, or even just a game night. Game nights were fun. We did that for a while growing up. Like Friday night was game night, and get everyone involved in a game night. Another one I forgot to mention earlier, Brandon, that I did a couple times as a kid is the Home Depot has do-it-yourself workshops that are free to kids certain days of the week. And I think it's on Saturdays, and every first Saturday of the month they do it. And you can go, you get a little apron, and they have different activities.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I did it a couple times.
Can I get a hot dog too?
I don't know about that, but you can if your parents pay for that. But you can do. I think I built a birdhouse when I was a kid. One of the times, and I think I built like a toolbox, like a wooden toolbox. You got to actually build, and they tell you how to do it. You get to paint them, and you're doing it all right there, which is nice as parents too, because you're not getting your house dirty. You're doing everything at the Home Depot, and then you can take home the final result. So that's kind of fun. Other couple ones is depending on the age of your kids, teaching them how to cook, teaching them different meals to cook, and then a cool one that I saw too is virtual zoos. You can basically go to the zoo, but like on a computer screen, but it's kind of cool. You can watch the different animals, see what's going on at different zoos, like on the computer. So those are some final ones I kind of saw that kind of hit home. Any final ones for you, Brandon?
Kind of your staples. You can always basically go camping in your backyard if you're able to.
That's a great one.
That's always really fun. Maybe cook s'mores over the stove. You don't necessarily have to start a fire. But really give them the full camping experience. You can also, for a lot of kids, doing daily activities with the parent is fun. So, like Bryce legitimately loves going to the grocery store right now. That could be amusement for him because he gets to people watch, and he sees bright lights, and if he's at Costco, he sees the fans going up top and just absolutely loves them. I think you may have mentioned this, but visiting an actual farm, you have a lot of local farms that are open to the public. You can visit those as well. And then going to like an outdoor mall. Actually, you can go outdoor or indoor mall, but for the same reason, the grocery store, the ability to kind of people watch. And then my favorite thing as a kid, I did it with my brother, I did it with my dad, was building forts in the house. Forts, we called them lookout stations. We basically would set up a bunch of chairs and covers, and now you got fancy things like nugget couches that cost a little bit more. But things that stack together, we would make them so you couldn't see inside, but we can see outside. And they were super fun.
Even in the snow, if you're in a state with snow,
we used to love those.
I love building a snow fort. That was like that snow days. That was our jam. You build a snow fort both sides, and then you have a snowball fight at the end of it. But trying to build the best fort was half the fun. So that's definitely something that's
back when we used to have the energy to we used to shovel our entire driveway, not be tired, and like it was me and my little brother shoveling our entire driveway, and then we would shovel paths in the yard, like that connected to each other. It was nuts thinking about how much snow we would move and just not be tired. And now I get out there.
You'd be coming inside sweating. That's how you know you were, because you'd be sweating from nuts. from moving and working so much. But it was fun, like you said. And then coming inside to like hot chocolate or the warm, it was the best. Those are great days. So I think the point of all this though is that there's lots of things you can do for cheap or for free as a parent. Sometimes we get stressed out about all the things that cost money. You can do lots of fun things that don't cost a lot of money, and there's lots of good resources out there. And we mentioned a few, but there's also blogs and there's Facebook things that mention them, and there's YouTube channels. Go out there, do a little bit of research. You'll be able to find something. And also just kind of listen to your kids. They'll tell you things that they find interesting, or even to just start doing stuff, and you'll be like, okay, we can utilize this. If they're really into crafts, if they're really into drawing and stuff like that, or like I said, cooking, different activities they might be into that you can just get them involved in. So don't be afraid to try different things. And hey, worst case scenario, if they don't like it, it's free, right? That's the best.
Yeah. And they'll tell you things that aren't interesting. We were at the cider mill, and my cousin, who I'm the godfather of his daughter, he happened to be out there at the same time. So we saw him, and I figured out he was there from a Facebook post when we got there. And so I called him, we met up, and his daughter, my goddaughter, after about 2 minutes, looked at him and said, "Dad, this is boring." She wanted to go back and play. So they got back to where they were at real quick. So they'll definitely let you know.
They will let you know. And kids have short attention spans, which is good and bad. It means that you can get them back on your side really quick, but also you can lose them real quick. So, activities that don't break the bank sometimes are great, because you could spend a lot of money to go to like an aquarium or something, and then they're disinterested 10 minutes in. Yeah. So
exactly.
Be smart with it. But Brandon, this is the part of the show where you try
where
to
Nolan beats me and I beat you.
That's fine.
Yeah, whatever. Jerry, Nolan, listeners around the world, what do you call two monkeys that share an Amazon account?
I don't know.
Primates.
That's pretty good. I like that.
That was good.
That was good. That was good. Good job, Kelsey. That was a good one. I liked it. We've been on a roll lately. I feel like we've had some good dad jokes the last few episodes.
Kelsey would like to take credit for all of my good jokes, and she doesn't want credit for any of the ones that didn't go. That
sounds about right.
But she definitely helps out most of the time.
That sounds about right. Well, I gotta give
happy
Macy,
anniversary.
I gotta give Macy a lot of credit for today's show, because I was we were thinking of a topic, and she kind of
that was some good info she gave you.
She gave me some good info, and actually, the best part about it all is it's going to help me. We're going to do a lot of free things, spend a lot less money, which is good, because this time of year, Brandon, for me specifically, is going to be dangerous, because not only do you got Christmas coming up, but Peyton's birthday's in November, so a lot of money could be spent over the next few months. So I got to be smart. And even Halloween, we'll get into kind of a Halloween episode later, but that can get pricey too. I'm finding out the hard way, because you can't just have Halloween for the kid. Apparently, you got to have all the parents get involved, and yeah, it can get pricey too.
Dude,
if you're not doing it right.
I have never really been, shame on me, but I'm not a holiday guy. Like I don't think my parents growing up gave it a lot of I don't know, emphasis.
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't really get into the holidays like that. Kelsey loves Halloween. I could care less typically about Halloween. We pass out candy to the kid but for the first time, I'm starting to want to get stuff decorated and do stuff, because I want to see Bryce's face.
Yeah.
Or anything else when he looks around. And
last year, we both had kids for Christmas, but they were at the age where they didn't really know what was going on. This year, it's a little bit more, and it's going to get better and better. But this year, I'm excited, because she can actually
open. Don't know what's going on.
No, but they can at least open stuff and interact with stuff you got them, like play with the stuff, even if it's the box you got it in. They'll be excited. So I'm excited for that too, and then just starting traditions, because traditions. I'm a big traditions guy, and I think that's super fun to start new traditions and things that are you as a family, and even though you don't have to necessarily do it their first or second Christmases, because they're not going to remember them. It's never too early, I guess. So there's a few things we've already do as a family tradition-wise, and I think we'll keep adding to them as time goes on. But we're excited for the holidays, and Halloween's first. I've never been a big Halloween guy. Macy loves Halloween, but it is going to be cute to see Peyton in her outfit and or costume or whatever you call it, and all the other kids. It'll be exciting. We'll go more into that though in a future episode. So, but yeah, Brandon, I think you're hopefully on the home stretch with Bryce feeling better. Hopefully you start feeling better yourself. Hopefully Peyton figures out what the heck to do with naps for probably her mom's sake more than mine, because mom works this coming weekend, which means she's home a lot this week. So I think if she doesn't nap this week, it might be a rough week for Macy. So hopefully she figures out her naps. But if you haven't already, like us on Facebook, like us on all the social media pages, tell your friends about us. That's the best compliment you can give us is honestly tell people to listen to us. Comment on our stuff. Tell us how we're doing. Tell us what you'd like to hear more about. But until next time, I'm Jerry, joined here by Brandon. And as always, you've been listening to Dad Jokes.